Alhamdulillah wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sallam. This is an interesting story. I've heard from this person on YouTube, an Egyptian person, and I have the link for those who want to listen to the actual story in Arabic. But in a nutshell, the story is the person gets invited to a wedding in South Africa, in Cape Town, early in the morning, at 8 o'clock, and the groom, his name is Basit Muhammad Abdul-Samad. So the Egyptian person thinks this is, a person from a Muslim family, but his name is quite interesting. His name is Abdul Basit, and he's probably the son of Muhammad, son of Abdul Samad. And then he realizes this person, his father became a Muslim, and his name is a combination of three names. So this one person, his name is Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul Samad, just like the very famous Quran reciter. If the noises of the birds are making too much noise, I apologize. I'm recording this and I'm not too far from my backyard, and there's a lot of birds singing. But in any case, so he becomes intrigued how in the world this person is called Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul Samad. And then the story goes, his father, when he was at the university, he had a Muslim friend. And the father and the Muslim person agreed to study together. Sometimes he'll be in the Muslim's home, and sometimes he'll be at the other person's home. So his father goes to the Muslim home, and if you remember back in the days. So if you remember back, even today they have these clocks that make adhan, and back then they would choose one adhan format, and whenever it's time for prayer, the clock would would make the sound of the adhan. So they were studying, and all of a sudden the adhan of Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul Samad comes over, and the person is shocked. It's like, what in the world is this? And he looks like, where is this voice coming from? And then he walks to the clock and he just looks at it, and he's just like dazzled, like, what is this? Until the adhan is finished. And then he asks, like, what is this? And then the Muslim person explains to him, this is the call for prayer. And he tells him, like, Muslims pray every day, and so on and so forth. And then he asks, when is the next prayer? And he's just waiting for this adhan to come along. And when the adhan comes along, he gets up, he goes to the clock and just looks at it in amazement of this adhan. Now eventually this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him to Islam. He became Muslim, and he was in love with the adhan of Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul Samad. So he could not fathom that this is a voice of a human being. He actually thought this voice comes from the sky. And then they told him this is coming from the clock. It's a recording of a person. And again, he had a hard time believing a human being would make this kind of sound. He thought it was like an angel. And then they had to convince him it's not an angel, it's an actual human being, just a regular person that memorizes the Quran, that makes adhan and reads the Quran. And as you can tell from the story, he is deeply affected by the adhan. It's the whole amusement of the adhan that's causing him to think it's something beyond, like a human being capability. Now then this person, when he realized Abdul Basit Abdul Samad is a sheikh in Egypt, he wanted to know where are his recordings. So him and his friend, they started going to to Islamic bookstores looking for tapes of Abdul Basit, for the tapes of Sheikh Abdul Basit. And he started buying those tapes, so he ended up having as much collection as he can in the Quran recitation of Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul Samad. Then this person realized Sheikh Abdul Basit has a whole audio library recording in Egypt. So then he took the journey from South Africa to Cairo to get all he can of the recordings of the Sheikh. So you can tell he was extremely affected by the voice, beginning from the adhan, and now he's collecting all the tapes of the Sheikh. All of the Quran recording and other events that the Sheikh performed where his voice was recorded. When he got to Cairo, he searched and he got to Sawt al-Qahira, the voice of Cairo, which is the recording station, and he purchased everything he can attributed to Sheikh Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul-Samad. He then started going to other stores in Egypt, trying to find some of the private, like celebrations that were hosted, and the Sheikh, the reciter Abdul Basit was invited, and he read Quran. And there were some libraries or some bookstores that used to sell them. So he started searching for those. So he had basically a big collection of all recording he can get his hands on, from the Quran professional recording to various gathering and celebrations where the Sheikh Abdul Basit Abdul-Samad participated in. So according to this strange story, he became so much in love with Abdul Basit, and pretty much his time is consumed doing his prayers, listening to the Quran recitation of Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul-Samad, doing his adhkar, and eventually he memorized the Quran. It's a very interesting story. Eventually he married a Muslim woman and he had a kid, so he named his son Abdul Basit Muhammad Abdul-Samad. So the moral of the story is, sometime a person may do something good and the impact would be felt from a whole different area, a whole different part of the world. And Abdul Basit never knew of this person. His family did not know of that person, who was deeply affected after hearing his adhan, becomes a Muslim, and has a kid named after the Quran reciter. SubhanAllah, this reminds me of another story. I had a friend, I think he was from Tanzania, and he went to a prestigious school in Ghana. And when he was in Ghana, he said that he had a friend from Ethiopia whose name was Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali, named after the boxer Muhammad Ali Clay. So I was talking to him, and then he mentioned something interesting. He said this guy called Muhammad Ali was not even a Muslim, but he was from an affluent family. So I can't remember, his family were like in politics, or they were like some rich Christian family. But his dad loved Muhammad Ali, the boxer, the American boxer, and named his son after him. I don't know if he later on became Muslim or what happened to him, but it's interesting. Sometimes, people name their kids after someone that they love. And in this story, the person in South Africa who became Muslim named his kid after the Quran reciter. That really consumed a lot of his energy, and he loved his voice. And also, according to the story narrator, he also memorized the Quran. Very interesting, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.